Okay, I have the one and the only Bobby. Would I say Bobby F. Parihar? Is that right?
That was the old me. Now I'm
Okay.
Bobby BF Parihar. So I've got a like evolution since just the original F.
Okay. That's funny that I asked because I felt like maybe I had seen your you said BF. Maybe I
It
had
is
seen
now.
that somewhere else. And so I was looking at
Yeah,
that like,
since
wait, is that
since
right?
2021.
Okay, okay. So epic. We're gonna talk about that. Why, what's with the letters? What's going on here? I'm sure people would like to know the significance. I know I was drawn into your orbit because of your IG lives or Facebook lives around numerology and letters. But, anyways, I'm going to stop talking. I'd love you to introduce yourself, please, Bobby, and just share a little bit about you, what you do, and your area of expertise. We'd love to learn from you today.
Well, thank you so much, Kelsey, for having me and recording this conversation together. It's an honor and a blessing. I feel like a dream come true. I've been working with you for the last, I don't know, I guess it's been a year or more than a year now.
Mhm.
And one thing I really appreciate is that you just have a really powerful, you said, hey, you recognize me as the channel. And I'm like, that's neat. So I appreciated that I was kind of like a intuitive kind of person. So I guess that's where we should start. I
Mhm.
was trying to get into business
Mhm.
and trying to become like just like a independent entrepreneur, high
Mhm.
ticket sales. And then through that path, I quickly wanted to gather all the newbies and just tell them a couple of the first green starting tips
Mhm.
around how to be okay in this. And that was just me, company to company. That was me as a sales driver or as a management or leadership, wherever it was retail, call center, sales, or
Mhm.
even in those I was in the bank. I did actually over like 30 different industries. And
Wow.
so I had a lot of varied experience. And one thing that got me through the door each time was customer excellence and
Mhm.
supporting the client and supporting the customer for their value. And then when it came to this business, there was a really big tone around that because we had
Mhm.
the case of like creating a higher level mindset and a
Mhm.
higher level of sales mentality that we needed to go through. So it quickly started that I took on that role of wanting to be supportive to my friends and my
Mhm.
new friends inside of the team. And when you're in a brand new business, there are people there. It's almost kind of like a community. Like you want to be a part of
Totally.
it. And so I really wanted to share everyone who was like brand new from a job that I might have managed in one part of their life. Like I might
Mhm.
have been that same person. So I was like, yeah, let's hang out together. And then about a year into my journey as an entrepreneur, finding my legs as a speaker, finding my legs as a sales trainer, and
Mhm.
developing that. My friend who had inspired us to be in business together, Balaj, he showed to me this thing. He said, "You got to check this out." And I'm like, this numerology stuff is a bit, like it's what I would do on a Sunday. Like, I
Mhm.
wouldn't do this for my business. I wouldn't talk to my clients about this. He's like, trust me, check it out. And I'm like, okay, well, Balaj says to do something, you kind of just do it. Like, it's kind of like he's my mentor. So,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not going to tell him no now. So I sat down for this conversation and it blew my mind because I'm very skeptical, tactical, logical, pragmatic, very detail oriented about how mathematics works. And then when I get a chance to see numerology, the weird thing, because my mind was like, I already know this. I'm a spiritual kind of guy.
Mhm.
I know like life path 11, and I kind of like appreciate all this 111 and 1111 stuff. But then when it was reintroduced to me, we pulled back the consciousness one more time and started to realize that the alpha numeric correspondence to language was almost jaw-dropping to how people are programmed fear, programmed insecurity, programmed loss. Like all of this stuff was like, oh my God, this is so weird. Like, and it's so strange to look at it because everyone's like, oh yeah, that's just business, hey? Or like, gotta get out there and chase the dollar, chase the money, and like, oh, that's just how it works. I'm like, those types of things we say, they drive us into like slavery. And so the content of our language suddenly had this new either locking or unlocking thing about it that said you're either going to give it away to everyone else or you're going to find that special little thread to find your way through
Mhm.
wealth and success. And it wasn't just about money, it was also about like self-purpose, self-realization, relationship, partnership, healing the past, healing parental dramas. I could take a look at a married person and see the maiden name, the married name, and really talk about how the families would affect them in a general sense. It was almost kind of like having like a UV ray light, you know, like you can have like an X-ray
Mm-hmm.
vision on what you normally see, but then there's like secret little maps connected to what you're actually saying underneath it. And it just became the most fascinating thing. But I wasn't ready. It was back in 2014. I kind of like dragged my foot around in my business. I got in with the wrong crew. I basically got really heavy and addicted into substances. And it was like a really hard 2015, 2014, and 2016. And then I basically came out of it with my tail between my legs. I went back to the mall. I went back to a job. There's no more high ticket business. I was kind of like still showing up, but I wasn't really showing up. And I was like, oh, people see me at the mall. They're like, hey, are you still doing the numerology thing? I'm like, no, no, no. I would do it's more like a trick. And then I ended up getting back into business in 2017 when one of my friends started asking me, can I pay you to do your numerology for me? Right? I'm like, sure. I'm like, do you have anyone else? She's like, yeah, actually, a few people were asking me, and they remembered you were really good. So can we send them off to your way? And from there, it started to unfold that my speaking ability to read a life path and a chart, it turned into my ability to be kind of like a wealth storyteller about someone's personal
Mm-hmm.
legend that they were going through in their own life. And it was such a detailed orientation to the individual, so allowing them to like feel this story that only makes sense to them. And this is where it comes to me, like, are you channeling this? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just reading the numbers. It just says this in your birthday. Like, it's so crazy. And then because that question comes up a lot, it's like, are you like channeling this or like is
What's going on
some
here?
sort of medium? I'm like, no, no. I used to freestyle when I was a kid. I was like rapping a lot. I did a lot of drugs when I was a kid. So I feel like my consciousness kind of just like blistered open. And like I feel like there's an access there, but I'm also very nerdy about what the numbers meant. And if you learn how
Mm-hmm.
to play guitar, which I love to do, there's like this energy there that says if you learn how to play the scales, you can see someone playing jazz and you can play jazz with them. Like you can jump into the music and play it fluently. So it
Mm-hmm.
was exactly what happened inside of numerology, guys. There's only nine numbers and you can only not add them nine ways. So if you keep practicing this, 2014, right? So now we're 2026. The energy says, I kind of know when I see a number in a birthday, I see a number in a name, I see a number in a calendar, or like a sequence of numbers that shows up for someone. There's usually a very specific, particular code that can unlock them and almost kind of like a carrot that's dangled in front of them the whole time. And it makes you feel a bit sad to think, oh, this is a spiritual or a woo woo or whatever. And I'm like, no, it feels a bit more devious than that. Like, I saw this one thing that said that millionaires don't use numerology, but billionaires do. And I was like, that's a pretty interesting looking caveat. And the people who use this stuff, they're really focused on the vibration of things and the vibration of language. If it's negative or low or below you, it's they don't speak like that. There's no rich people who do that unless they kind of like they're way behind closed doors and we still hear about it. But the language is driven for us to be locked and loaded to chasing the dollar, chasing
Mm-hmm.
fear, or chasing insecurity. And when I get a chance to look at it, I'm like, let's set up a few of these things. Like, you don't know that you're living in a dirt house. Like, you want to live in this castle-like mentality, but like, do you nicely put, like, you commented on my office, and the last time we were together, I was on vacation. So now that I'm back here, I'm thinking, yeah, I do like a little bit of math. I do like a little bit of structure and code to make things feel like I'm
Mm-hmm.
presenting something that's
Mm-hmm.
like coordinated, and it makes you feel kind of like the same way you get into someone's messy room or you get into someone's cathedral and you're like, wow, everything looks like it matches and everything is like
Yep.
perpendicular and like it just looks so orderly. Like, what's that all about? I'm like, yeah, I kind of like OCD for order. And when it comes into this space, it should tell a bit of a story. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what the numerology does for language. We use this for baby planning. We actually use this for relationship reconciling, also parenting and timing for people who want to do business. They want to create a nice marketing. We want to make sure that the words that they use, the marketing that they use just slips out like butter and it just like oof to the client. They love it. They're magnetized. They want more. They just like that's the
Mm-hmm.
whole point of magnetic, that's wealth, or electrical, that's idea. So you have the heart, it's kind of a vibration of beating, and it just gives you this space of healing. And then in the idea, it's like this head is going off, going zap, zap, zap with ideas. And there's an electrical frequency of success. There's a magnetic frequency of success. And there's also a physical frequency of success
Mm-hmm.
that goes out there and says, get out there and get it done. Like farmers know this. They just trust the fact that the sun, the soil, and the water, and the seed, they all do a thing. And it's science. So they don't get into the whole figuring out of They're
Mm-hmm.
just like, if it ain't broke, you don't fix it. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you want the job done right, you go out there and get it done yourself. Bobby, I don't want to talk about any of these weird looking numbers and stuff. I'm like, okay, but they made almanacs. Like, you measure your field, crop yields, you understand so much math that it's a myth to think that this is a mystical thing. This is like the value of what language shows up in underneath. So super huge tangent. But for me, it went from Bobby Parihar, which is the vibration of business. Let me get hired, let me get fired, like in the same week. I can take this company over. And like I couldn't because it was someone else's company. So I was always getting fired or promoted or recruited. But then Bobby F. Parihar, I stopped working. I became a dad, overnight dad, they called me. Sally had 3 kids when I met her. My main focus was becoming a speaker and a writer and doing this online thing. It was 2018. So I basically became this like online speaker thing. And I was like, well, I have to work. Like, these kids need me. Like, we all need, this is a family. We need to create income. And I don't work on the island. I only have this thing that people keep referring me. So let's just keep that going. And it took me out into the Freedom Era. So it's that back then they called it the Freedom Team. And my friends Clint and Christy hired me to put X in their name and the Freedom Team together. And for Freedom Era, the Freedompreneur Collective, like they went through a couple of evolutions, but basically they just kept on like putting me through their community. And it was like
Mm-hmm.
the most wonderful feeling to think I was making a multiple 5-figure income, monthly income, and I was like doing this thing. Everything got sorted out, and I was starting to become a speaker. So that was really what it landed into: podcast development, brand development. We learned all of the fancy tools that you can do online, like building websites and point of sale terminals and courses. And so it full-fledged into like your own personal digital media exploration business, where we call professional success solutions, or I call myself the solution artist. So I can help someone in their personal life or their professional life create love or wealth, or create a vibration of connection through language or connection through calendar, so they can sleep better at night, know themselves, meet their partner for the first time, their children for the first time. It's one of the most eye-opening conversations ever. I've been having this thing, like I've been like, again, 30 jobs, 30 different industries. As soon as I found numerology, I was like, one more job and that was it. And like, I never have been working again. As they say, I've got like 6 little bosses, my little kids, and these little boss babies are keeping me in tow. So they control what I do with my day, which is a blessing to be able to sit here. I feel almost guilty that my wife has to take care of them all. But it's an honor to sit and talk like this because
Yeah.
this is what I just love to do.
Yeah.
So back to you, Kels.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. And about 100 directions that I want to go, but I appreciated how you saw a thread. You mentioned at the very beginning, and now it's starting to disappear from my mind, but you saw a thread between sort of all your jobs and the people that you were working with, how you can help them, how you can make things better, and then also learning how letters and the numbers connect. And it feels like that's like what kind of blew things up for you because you were like, it's almost like you're reading words, but you're feeling the frequency through the numbers that they correlate to. And a question I want to ask you, because you mentioned, billionaire success and sort of the language they're using. Have you done research of like companies that are super successful and the names they choose? Have you looked at that before? I'm just curious.
Some of the things that have really scaringly showed up are like global events,
Mm.
things that we see that happen on the mainstream media, stuff that happens on Wall Street. Also, things like Bill Gates uses numerology. You can see it in the dates he chooses to come out with stuff. All of these things kind of like start to correspond. Also, the royal family will not name their child until they're after their birth. They kind of go in secret to do that, and then they kind of like name it based on whatever's happening. So some of these things have been observed, and we appreciate seeing them in my space. I've actually got all of my observations from people and their own personal reactions, and then just anecdotes of what you see online, and like my own personal like wanting to see and absorb things. I'm like, yeah, no, I can see it everywhere. That
Mm-hmm.
it you can see these things in powerful spaces. Like for example, you might go to like 555 Wall Street or 555 somewhere in a financial district, and you're gonna see that there's a building, like a bank building is in there, and it's just so peculiar. I'm like, oh yeah, you guys own those addresses, and you just kind of like start to appreciate where they start to show up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I almost kind of started because it was a bit scary to see this, like who's using this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
when do we see all these major things that people are like, oh my gosh, there's an attack, or oh my gosh, there was a major event? And I'm kind of like sitting back and I'm like, the dates added up, or they showed up in a
Mm-hmm.
certain energy that was almost kind of like too weird to
Mm-hmm.
explain. And I'm like, it just kind of like pulls me back to think, okay, this is cool tech or whatever they're using, but it really brought us back to being entrepreneurs. And when I first got into it, Balaj said it to me. So I was kind of just like, don't get weird about how it shows up for others. I mean, we can see that it does or how it has, but at the same time, like we're going to go through our own personal experiences too, because I don't want to like start pointing fingers at things that happen externally. It just is a scary world, and I see it kind of like happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I remember there was one event recently. A fellow got shot, right? And it was like a mainstream thing, and it was all over on social media, the Charlie Kirk thing. And I was looking at the dates around it, and I was like, wow, it happened on like a 999, like the height of a decade, a height of a year, height of a month, height, all this big nine energy was happening. And I was looking at this and I was like, whoa, guys, like they waited until the most powerful space to really just unload this sort of like ending and beginning. And all these things started to unfold. So it does show up in the most peculiar ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I try not to look at it just because
Yeah.
we are busy using it for the values of entrepreneurism
Yeah.
and helping people do things that are, good for others, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion.
Yeah.
So when I do see it, I do kind of like, I'm like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm very peculiar to see these things that are happening, but it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting, period. It's like what, and I've seen it too with astrology, like same with me when it came to, reading for others or seeing things that happen in history or in the news or whatever. I'm just like, it's not like woo woo. It's just like the planets line up. I'm just like when I'm reading someone's chart, I'm just seeing how it's almost I almost explain it like math too. I just see how the energy works. And people asking me if I'm psychic and I'm like, I don't know. I'm just reading your chart. Like it's just the energy's there, which is fascinating. It's interesting. I wanted to ask you because you mentioned your life path 11, which I think is super magical. And I'm not a numerologist, but I have, you know, seen, read, been in that world. 11's a pretty powerful number, and I love that you're in numerology. Is there a, are you familiar with other numbers that are important? Like I've heard of life path or soul number or karma number, all these different numbers. Have you worked with those? And if so, do you find them significant? Do you see them show up in people's lives? That's like a three-part question.
Yeah. When I started to look at it, I noticed that when I looked at one energy or one source, I saw one thing, and then I looked at another source and I
Yeah.
saw another, and I kept on, and then I just like, okay, so like if I call it inner desire or soul urge or hidden desire or hidden
Hmm.
expression or soul expression, and there's so many like designed terms, I guess back when numerology was created or whenever it was, I don't know.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, I don't want to get lost in jargon because we're entrepreneurs. So when I look at somebody's life path or their birth path or birth chart,
Hmm.
it's kind of like, looking at the numbers that show up there. I want to make it seem as if because there are certain things that you get. Like if you add a birth day and a birth month, you get one epic cycle. And then the same thing happens with the birthday and the birth year. And then you get up cycles. And the same thing with hidden desires. You get these like pyramids of names that are like my first name, my middle name, and then my last name, but then I change it. And then there's like a hidden expression if I just look at the vowels. So there's so much like to dive in deep,
Hmm.
and I go long. So when I use this for entrepreneurs, the surface level is where all the change happens. And I don't want to just get lost in deep with someone going so far deep into like, oh, now this means at 42, your special one challenge is the letter H. I mean, some people do numerology that way.
Hmm.
Some people do numerology based on a completely different shape, like they draw it out. They
Hmm.
don't use the 19 or the 20 of the 2026. They don't use those numbers. And
Oh,
it's so
okay.
interesting to see how like certain like cultures use a different one. And
Hmm.
I'm just like, okay, look, if I add it up and I see it and anybody can add it up, should it be corroboratable by the most logical, investigative person? Like I'm skeptical. Like I don't want to know that someone's going to say one thing and then someone's going to say another. Can I observe it myself? So when I looked at my numerology or the vibration of it, I still did things like I noticed the vowels, I noticed the consonants. So we do break them up into small
Hmm.
little channels as we start to identify them. But I try not to use those
Hmm.
specific terms from Pythagorean numerology or Chaldean numerology, Indian astrology, those types of things. There's so many different cultures of it
Hmm.
that I'm just like, yeah, no, I get it. We're entrepreneurs, so what we want to do is we want to find the vibration frequency of like the word or what we're saying. Is it the same frequency as trust, respect, safety, wealth, security? Like those types of things make us feel like this is going to work. I can do this, replace my job, work. Those are the same energies. So if we can do them in
Interesting.
entrepreneurship, then they're kind of like people feel like swimming. They're like, oh, this is no big deal. And it's the same vibes. So
Mhm.
that's kind of like when we're
Yeah.
like using the same word and people are like, well, how much does the vibe even pay attention? I'm like, well, if you tell a kid his whole life that he's not doing very well, they might develop that sound to feel
Hmm.
like their life is against them, as opposed to celebrating someone and feeling like you're amazing. They're used to hearing amazing and great. They're gonna feel those vibes as opposed to like,
Hmm.
you're always a failure. Why are you always doing that? Like, oh man, I can't believe this with you. Like those are challenges that people have to go through, and it does affect. So the world
Hmm.
is very strong about what you say to it. And yeah, so I guess that's my long-winded answer to that question.
Yeah. No, that's okay. It is so I love when you speak words because it's like you're a numerologist, but I almost want to call you a wordist. Does that make any sense? Because like you really like, the like language, it's so important and the energy and the frequency of what you
Yeah.
say.
Do I talk weird?
You do not talk weird, but I can feel the frequency of when you say one word to the other. And I'm wondering what the numbers are for those words. Like, you said job, work, they have a similar frequency. And then like abundance and wealth, like they have a similar frequency. And I find that very fascinating. The word entrepreneurship, because you said it a few times, what can you see in the word entrepreneurship, the numbers line up with the energy of like, initiator and building wealth and success. Like, can you see that? Have you looked at that word before?
Well, it's interesting because entrepreneur and then teacher and then female and lady. So you have female and lady act like teacher and entrepreneur. The female is an entrepreneur or as a teacher energy, and they're like working the partnership to help create an adulthood. Inside of entrepreneurship, you see a lady who's out there to go and act and to go and take ambition for self and to sit in her feminine, and that brings the blossom, that brings the joy of that. So it's not the energy of a two and four that add up to six. It says, let's two do this together in partnership, and four get the work done that creates wealth. I can teach you how to do this. Instead, it looks like five and one, which says, I am going to go out there and enterprise or change and transform and take action. And from that, wealth can come. So it's pretty interesting how you can
Hmm.
also add three, three, six, right? So if you add three plus three, you have the energies of cheering and coaching and celebrating, let's say, femininehood and like a so females group where the energy of woman wants to come through. So success energy, in my opinion, is a fairly female energy. Sorry, can I retract? I say wealth is a very female energy, and success is a very masculine energy, where you have things like creator and work and father, but then you've got mother in the space of like, a more enjoyable and like the energy of nurturing, right? So
Hmm.
there's a space there that says if I'm more emotional, I might be considered a more feminine version. If I'm more logical thinking, gotta go and do the thing, son. Like there's an energy there that says leave your feelings to the side, just go get it done. So there's a even numbers show up that way. And there are a few sort of mixes in between, but it's just so cool to see how these nuances just like they map out our consciousness. And this is why it's not about being psychic. It's about how predictable humans are. It's like there's not very much to choose from. We all just sort of want the same things, have been programmed for it, and you should be able to achieve it.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I wanted to talk a little bit about, and I'm sure any numerologist is talking about, 2026 being what is it, a 1 year. Are you feeling that? Do you feel a shift? I mean, it's a Gregorian calendar. There's that whole thing, but at the end of the day, we are following this calendar as a collective, so it has a frequency and we're all plugged into it. Are you feeling the one? Can you talk to us about one?
Yeah, just to speak on what you're saying, sorry guys, we are born in it. This language was given to us, so
Yeah.
it is a contained unit and it is what you make of it, but you're playing chess. So enjoy the right moves, learn how to play, and you can still succeed, but it's not the calendar you think it is. The even the calendar's set to rip you apart at the end of the month. So it's very difficult to
Mm.
align to what your numerology says or what your name says, because those are all just inherited and false. And then you have your planet saying another thing, which is again this big conversation to say, what are they? So just to appreciate that we've got two sort of energies there that are going to be all right. And can you repeat the question so that I can find a really, I want to answer it really powerfully one more.
Yeah, so for those of us who are following that this is the year of 2026, which is
Okay,
probably
sorry. So
everyone,
20, yeah.
can you speak
So
to the one
2026, yeah.
energy?
I found out I was saying it to everybody at the end of 2025. I was like, get ready, guys. It's gonna be like this big, huge nine energy, and you're gonna jump all the way down to one. But instead of jumping, it's gonna be an instant like perspective shift, and you're just gonna appear like hop right into. It's like going off for a corner. So you think that you're gonna jump over a mountain, but
Mhm.
then instead of going all the way back down to nine, you just kind of like go whoop back to 10, back to one. It's a pretty interesting feeling because like I was so my whole family got sick for the holidays, so we were taking care of nursing like the year of the cold of a year. And so I was like not wishing happy New Year's to anyone. I wasn't very social for it. It was a nice thing to come up to, but then
Mhm.
right at New Year's, the one clicked into individuality, and everybody just went off into their own spaces and went off into their own thing in a really big way that it was almost kind of like I can appreciate what a one looks like. Everybody just kind of like whoosh, and disappeared into their own direction
Mhm.
and started doing what they were focusing on instead of focusing on the crowd or focusing on the collective. It just suddenly went very quiet. And I myself, I didn't have any energy to go to camera, to go to call, to go to any of
Mhm.
that. I was just like, unless I got somebody talking to me, it was a sacred divine appointment. But then me wanting to go broadcast and do these calls, it just didn't feel as effective. I was like, something is strange, something is different. I think it's a time for, and I started putting on audios and just like learning about the intuition and the wisdom of reflection of self, and to see how much I've grown over these last like 7 years. I'm in a seven cycle. So
Okay.
as a new energy and a new collective, my personal number says, hey, recognize your temple or go within yourself right now and appreciate that this isn't like everybody hold my hand and just like no, this is where you hold your own hand and you go into your one and you just kind of like feel the energy of yourself because that's where the nuclear happens to create the two or abundance or energy. It's the meeting of the self that says, well, this is boring, and then the two happens and then energy comes from that. So I'd like to think that in the one space, we have to come back to what's important to us
Mhm.
and really and what's important to the individuality. And I've already been hearing it in my head that this is the year of you, like the year of
Mhm.
yourself and the year of
Mhm.
you being what does right for you.
Mhm.
And with that comes this like switchblade of five different knives that I'm like, you got to have ambitious energy, you have to take care of yourself, you got to take crazy shots, and you can't be feeling wigged out. This is a space to say, I'm going for my goal. So if I
Mhm.
look anywhere else, I'm going to veer off into that direction. The one has to stay decided into where it's going. So for
Mhm.
me, you think like, oh, I'm going to go online. If I do a go live, there might have been a time where I was like, what if nobody watches? Now I'm like, give a fuck if nobody watches. I don't give a
Mhm.
shit. I'm gonna go out there and get it done, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna go upstairs and take care of my family. If I'm gonna make
Mhm.
money today, it's gonna happen. Otherwise, hey, you know what? At least I went out there to desk, and like, and that's it. And then I want to cook. I want to take care of my kids. I want to be with my wife, and like this, I want like this energy that's showing up for the
Mhm.
self. So I trust everybody to give yourself a little bit of that, and if you've got kids, to share with your kids a bit of that, because they may feel a bit strange because they don't know. But if you can
Mhm.
be like, hey, what do you want to do? Like, what's your thing that you want? As
Mhm.
opposed to saying like, you got to take care of your brother and sister, or help me with this, like, all those, let's do this together. Like, no, the one energy, I'm like, what do you want to do? Like,
Yeah.
like, and being a two or an 11 energy, I'd like to think is really interesting because I want to support two. I want to support one. I mean, I'm a natural one supporter. And if I've got this energy of leader in nine and the vibration of met or wisdom in two, the partner in two, then the one of ambition. People who show up with ones are like, Bobby, you're my guy. 'Cause you can take care of things that are out in my peripheral. And that's what
Mhm.
two is all about. It's about two angles. Whereas the one says you keep your eye on the bullseye and don't look at anything else. So the space of this year, I think, is a really good time to carve out your decade and to look at this and be like, I got 9 years in front of me. This is a brand new decade. This ain't no 2030. It's the middle of a decade. It's gonna be a five energy. When everything switches over to a new decade, it's gonna be the middle of a decade. 2025 is a nine, 26 was a one. So we've got the brand new energy sauce right now that says what you do now is going to transform by 2030. You got 5 years under your belt right now. A brand new dawn is opening up. And where you stand in front of that is kind of like how you were born. So what
Mhm.
position were you in with your birthday? And you get to see what you're opening up to a one energy. Like for me, when I open up to a one energy, I feel stoicism, reflection, deepness, intuition, and I want to go back into myself and help. I can see the vision for others. So if I'm sitting with someone, I can take a look at what they're doing this year and map things out for them. So this year has been a lot of working so far has been a lot of working on what's going to happen this year,
Mhm.
month to month, personal
Mhm.
month energy, and helping those people want to be focused on the goal and they don't know the details just yet. So my work becomes
Mhm.
pretty popular when people are just like, well, what do I got to do? I'm like, just leave me with all your math and let's just use this, use this, use this. Don't use these. Call me in 6 months. Let's see how we did. And I
Mhm.
expect to make money. This guy's got to be like, yo, y'all got to see Bobby. Like that's how I make money. I don't get ads. I don't, the referral is everything. So when
Mhm.
I'm working with someone, I'm like, we're gonna make you money, right? Like you're gonna make love, right? Like you're gonna create the soulmate or you're gonna be a better parent. Something's gonna happen 6 months. You're gonna be screaming my name. I'm gonna get a video of you and you're gonna tell me that this conversation is something you keep listening to because it's got to be that profound. So I'm really looking forward to that this year,
Mhm.
and as well just everybody. I'm like they're sharp arrows, and as many as I can just dart out into the universe, I'd be so blessed to just quickly shoot them because you guys have been ready. Business took us. None of us on Facebook have just been born yesterday. We've all been through a season or two. So it's now is the time to take all the crazy shots. You can take a bubble bath at the end of the week, but if it ain't crazy enough to take the shot, then don't take it. Just look somewhere else and go bam, 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 bam. Like don't wait, don't think. That's the energy of like hesitation.
Mhm.
You're thinking to slow you down. If you don't have decided energetic action that just wants to shoot out of a gun, that's the energy of a one. I'd like to think,
Mhm.
okay, you're not eating right, you're not sleeping right, you're not exercising, you're watching crap, you're playing video games. Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, you're not actually sharpening your blade. You just go ahead and drop the arrow and it just falls. I'm like, no, you got to tighten that thing and make sure you do push-ups in the morning. Like, you take care of your body. Like, it's a muscle. So the same thing with all of your vision. You guys want to be successful. I want to, it's never been so easy to be successful right now, Kelsey, because everybody focuses on the distraction. They focus on all the crap out there. And if you're in a one energy, you're like, nope, not this year, not now, not me. I'm going in and I'm going to win. So winners win this year. And you get to decide if you want to be that way or not. But it does take some failures to win.
Mhm.
So you do have to appreciate you're going to fall a few times. And some of us don't. That's why you have to take the crazy shots. That's why you need the bubble bath after. You need the wellness to see to take care of the sore bruise because that one energy may be like I overshot it. I didn't get all those shots to the goal. I just quickly shot a bunch of them, like you said, Bob. I was like, I saw what stuck. I'm like, yeah, spaghetti eventually does. You got to keep boiling it, and it's gonna stick to the wall. So if you get this one energy that says just keep firing, the next year you're gonna have an arm of steel. You're gonna have a precision looking space, and you might have caught in a few ducks. So it's nice to know that 100% of the shots you don't take, you're gonna miss them. But if you start shooting, shooting, shoot, you master more than the failures even tried. And this is where we have to break through because the number one says win, the number nine says failure, the number eight says success. And I'm like, this is so painful. The number business says eight, one, and nine. So if I just look at business, I'm like, so business is like one higher than success. It's synonymous with money and failure and love. And if you win, you go over failure and over business, you win. And the whole point of currency is to pull yourself back to know when is enough is enough. And the electrical success happens before nine, but then nine represents leader and problem. So you have to build a tolerance for what your clients are going through. Sometimes the most famous one for us is rejection and oh my God, what if they judge me? And I'm like, really? That's such an interesting point of view, you are not confident in what you're talking about. Like you gotta like I don't care if they don't like what I talk about. Well, then why are you wasting your time listening to me right now? Like why you have better things to do with your life? Like, the people who need this message will, and they don't want me to be all wigged out, being like, so what do you think, guys? You think it works? I'm like, no, they're wanting confidence in their lives. They want direction and flow. And so in one, they're like, where exactly do I get some of that fire? I'm like, eat like this, sleep like this, call yourself this, and quickly call me in 6 months. Like, let's have a plan of action so that we can get some ground covered. So when it comes to one, just all out, guys, guns blazing. Like
Mm-hmm.
you prepared. If it's too late to have a plan, some of you guys of us have a plan. We want to get to work, but some of us are out there enterprising, and some of us are out here meditating, ready for big expression. Like my next year is going to be pretty powerful in my numerology. Like I wait 9 years to get here. So I'm pretty happy to express some of these things. And I'm approaching it with 6 kids, my wife. We got a beautiful home. Like there's so many things that, and like you've been with me through some of the more gutting energies of how I've had to go through all this. So it's pretty, like, it's not like you're perfect, but it's the vibration of saying, look how much blessing we have. And I'm coming into a space that says, I do feel like I've created a temple around me. And that's not to think I'm better than anyone, but I find God lives within me. So there's a space there where we have that connection that says, look, their Gregorian calendar, the names you get, they're from your family, your
Yeah,
grandparents.
yeah, yeah.
You got a destiny. Like, what are you going to call yourself? Like, we're taking it back and giving it back to you and
Mm.
building, this place on this planet. So you're all sharp arrows, extraordinary bullets, powerful targets. If you're listening to this and you're in 2026, absolutely. Even if it's just January, your birthday, or 1981, or whatever one you have in your life, you're ambitious and you want to go out there and you just don't know what to do and you don't need to. You just basically just need to show up. And more that's going to happen this year, the experience is gonna whittle you, steel sharpen steel.
100%. Thank you so much for that. And
Can you corroborate any of this for 2026, like from your?
yes, so well, like your fire, that energy that's like coming out of you as you're speaking about the one is 100% exactly what I see in the astrology. Also, what I felt, and I find it interesting how you mentioned like moving from 2025 to 2026. It was weird and it was disoriented, and you're right. And I've been feeling like number one, time feels different. As in like I'm able to like create and apply myself to my business somehow with the same life I had 10 days ago or whatever, with a 2-year-old. It's not easy, but I'm like, I'm putting out 2 pieces of content every day. Like that was never
Yeah,
a thing. It was like sometimes it was a struggle to get one piece of content out. I'm like, something's happening. And then also, like for sure in the astrology, we have major outer planet shifts. So the outer planets, they affect all of us, but they because they move so slow, they're often correlated more to the collective. So when these planets move, we all sort of feel it together. And the major shift is that Saturn and Neptune are moving into Aries. Aries is very much correlated to one. It rules the first house. It's initiator, it's action, it's motivation, it's focus, it's drive, it's blazing forward, it's movement forward, it's new. And so that's a huge one. And those planets are moving together and they're moving into Aries together. That I don't know what the statistics are on that. It's like once every like 600 years or something that would ever happen, or maybe it's more. I don't know, but it like will never happen again in our lifetime that they will be moving into that sign together. And so we all are waking up as a collective in into this like exactly what do I need? What is my path? What is my focus? What is my future? What do I want to create? And I find that beautiful because I think so much of us have looked outside of ourselves for what is true or what is valid or what is accepted. And I think it's time for us to name that for ourselves and create it for ourselves. And I'm
Mhm.
appreciating that we're both entrepreneurs. And I think a lot of people are realizing that maybe they are following a path that's not theirs. And this is a huge year for awakening. And I think more people are realizing like, hey, I can live life the way I want to. It's not the way my parents are said or school said or whoever said. It's like it's so much about the self this year. And I mean, selfishly, I think it's beautiful. But yes, so to answer your question, the energy is definitely there in terms of like when I look at the astrology, but I also just feel it and I'm feeling motivated. I'm feeling excited. I think in lunar astrology or Chinese astrology, the fire horse is a similar message and energy. So it's really beautiful when it all comes together like that.
Mm.
And yeah, so I'm feeling amped. Thank you for sharing that about this year. And I'm excited for people to listen to this at the beginning of the year. And yeah, just maybe get that spark of inspiration or motivation. And I'd love for you to leave us with a parting message if you have one. But if people don't know who you are or how to find you, we're gonna have your social media and Facebook. But definitely go see Bobby because he can change your life and make sure that you move to the right address or have the right Instagram handle or the right business name or the right website name. I've seen you change people's lives in amazing, amazing ways, and I so appreciate everything that you've shared with me. And you're my go-to for major decisions going forward. So thank you, Bobby. Appreciate you.
Buddy.
And yeah, I just wanted to ask if there was any sort of final message that you'd like to leave people. Yeah, I'll leave it open to you.
Well, the January effect was pretty crazy. We moved to a new home in March, and and then we had a baby that was a month early, so it was a really chaotic
Mhm.
2025. And then now in 2026, I noticed that like I got more cleaning and organizing and downsizing done in my entire home for all six kids than I did in the whole year. And I'm
Wow.
like, wow, this is just extreme levels of power. And I've got an infant and a toddler, like plus four more. Like they're really, this is like it's overwhelm and it's
Mhm.
overload. And so I appreciate that, one of the biggest things that like to leave with you guys, like that some people are like, oh my God, how do you do that? Holy smokes, good for you. I only have one, I only have two, and I'm losing my mind. And I'm like, well, I came in as an entrepreneur. I came in like with as an animal lover and a plant enthusiast. And I'm like, how hard can children be? And so vibration of learning that my children was actually as effective as learning their charts, learning what environments are good for them. The same way I would study a plant or an animal, I would understand what's the right environment for these children. So to give any parent the light of hope that says no matter if your children are old or still in the home or they're older or they're still younger, whatever stress level they're giving to you, it's a very important conversation to have. Also, I would appreciate that for your entrepreneur journey. We don't want to look at this like a lottery ticket or a casino or like a scratch and win or any type of like mystical thing. There's just calculative energies that you
Mhm.
need to understand in your business. Like you want a lemonade stand, it's an easy itemized list. You need lemons, you need stand, you need a sign. There's certain, you can't be like, oh, where do you put your money? There's no box for it. So in the same thing as entrepreneurship, we're not trying to make it mystical. We're just trying to polish all your tools. That
Mhm.
means that they're all sharp, they're all working, they're all perfected. And
Mhm.
when you said, yeah, the playing with my Instagram handle, I'm like, that's one of my most popular services is doing a social media audit. And I just whip open the profile, the news feed, and we start looking at line by line if it goes ding, 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 or if it goes, eh. And I can usually find out if I'm feeling it or if there's like a nice feel to it. And for someone who's kind of worried about the hit or miss of business, having a conversation around this social media audit vibration allows them to feel like, wow, my profile looks like, really organized and designed, and it makes me feel very flowy. So the energy starts to move back in for them, and we appreciate those types of things as well. So don't be without the extra tool, and don't think that this is something that we're trying to pervert religious or a spiritual belief or a mental belief at all. Like we study people who want to make money, people who make money online, and we work directly with people who do that, and we don't veer off from that. We want to stay right there and then right with your husband, right with your kids, right with your spouse. Like your life is the most important thing for you. And for me, I'm always like to say that this is the most important conversation you'll ever have in your life is to understand what codes, what overlays are kind of like playing chess on top of you and how you can break free from that system. We're inside of the digital marketing era where everything is a camera on top of you and we're so used to just zooming and having these conversations like they're nothing now. Like it's so interesting how we have a very personal media. So don't waste it. Like, don't go out
Mhm.
there and complain about the world. Don't come out there and just, what are you guys doing these days? Like, like it's out there with a purpose. So I appreciate if you're listening to this, you are of that with a purpose. You're obviously wanting to do something more impressive with your life. You obviously watch Kelsey a lot. I mean, she's my go-to. I'm like, no, no, no. I use you because when I'm going through stuff, and that's what we do for each other. We scratch each other's
Yeah.
backs. And so I mean, I have a really big thirst for having a conversation like this with you, where we can really peel back on what happened when Saturn and Neptune, or like how bigger planets influence collective dramas and who rises up from that, and what type of a play show are we in? And because I'm very skeptical, like again, how do planets hold the energy of influence over character, personality, design, trajectory, fate, destiny? Like it's just too fantastic to think, and it's so accurate that it makes me kind of curious. I'm like, is this a computer or some sort of an algorithm? And the more that I look at them, I'm more convinced. I'm like, you could dial the tunes, you can change the station, you can change environment, you can change habit. But once you see it, that's the most important part. And the
Mhm.
way that our work happens between each other, not to draw this too out, I appreciate you guys watching this and taking the time out of your busy days to hear this schedule, or to hear this words dissemination. You've got something inside of you that can be unlocked, and
Mhm.
it's not like it's going to be hiding from you, but it was never designed for you. It was designed to make you look weird, or make you look different or strange, or if you don't fit like a worker bee, then something's wrong with you. I'm like, no, you have something extraordinary inside of you, and we're here to unlock it. So it's a beautiful
Mhm.
conversation to pull things together. But the way that we work together, it's like we say simple truths, we stay away from dogmas, we stay away from spiritual spaces, and we allow the awareness to be like, shoot, those are some of the things that I've never even said to myself. And if they hit true, suddenly you break open and your parasympathetic body nervous system kicks in. You go away from fight or flight, and you start gene regulating and sending out good vibes that your like body's ready for learning and growth. And you actually start actualizing on spaces, as opposed to being tired and tense and being like, well, I don't know if I can trust this guy. I'm not sure what he's going to say or what he's going to do. And I got to keep my guard up. I'm like, no, you got to laugh. We got to tickle. We got to have fun. We got to enjoy a great conversation until it's like, yeah, I'm feeling like I can really grow from there. So I use my work as a way of creating friends with people, community together, a safe space for you guys to feel all of the crazy things you have to go through with your family. I'm like the craziest one, so it's okay. We got so much to go through together. I'm not afraid to share it with my clients at all, because I don't want to judge you guys. We're all going through it together, but it's a
Yeah.
safe space to call me your brother, to take me into your families, and to help you guys get to a better spot in your world. So don't feel left or lost out. I also do provide services that are work together one-on-one. I do group stuff, family things. I also do account support. So I pride myself on thinking that this is going to make you money. That if you need to reach me before you can even afford to, we can work on it together. So I don't want to close my doors to you. I want to let you guys know I'm just a Facebook away. It's the easiest way to get a hold of me is Bobby BF Parihar. And yeah, I changed the B to now go from father figure into creator of wealth and success in business. So
Mhm.
once I have that space, now I'm a little bit more designed to take that forward. But that's basically the coming full circle of the beginning of our conversation.
Yeah.
And to put the BF in there to upgrade it even further. And thank you guys again for being part of
Mhm.
this conversation. I
Mhm.
hope you guys got value, and I hope that something really important got inspired inside of you to feel like this is something that you're meant to have.
Mhm.
And even working together with Kelsey and me at the same time, I would like to think that we could share notes on what we're seeing and actually develop even further. I mean, there's so much work that can be done, Kelsey, that
Mhm.
I'm just like reeling when it comes to being able to apply containers with you, and just
Yeah.
to enjoy, multi-coaching with you. So if anybody's interested in doing anything like that, I would happily pay for a session with Kelsey as a inclusion of what we're doing, so that I could get a better look at what you're going through.
Mhm.
And Kelsey, back to you, sister. Thanks again for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. And yes, 100%, we will be working together. And yeah, if you want to unlock is a beautiful word that you used. Please book with Bobby. Thank you so much. And yeah, hopefully you'll hear from us together again soon.